What are you going to do to protect EOU?
What am I going to do to protect EOU?
We've been on the cutting block once already.
No, you haven't.
Yeah,
and that is,
we were actually.
Okay, let me explain how you were on the cutting block. And I'm going to debate Greg on this tomorrow. Because I went out and actually pulled the 30% reduction budget that he keeps telling everybody to pull. It is over 100 pages long. It is the most dull thing. It's like reading the Department of Correction or the DHS budget. Last year, all departments, every agency in Oregon was asked to produce 3 essential budget levels. A 10% reduction, a 20% reduction, and a 30% reduction. Okay? Those are the 3. And those were passed up to the Department of Administrative Services.
That came from like the Oregon University system.
Yeah, and then that goes to DAS, which is the chief budgeter of the state of Oregon. That goes to DAS. Then DAS takes that and they turn it into what they call their legislative budget. And they pass it over to the legislature. Let me tell you what the Department of Corrections 30% reduction was. Closure of 8 prisons, including 2 mediums, and the releasing of 8,000 inmates. Guess what got printed in the Oregonian? Department of Corrections is going to release 8,000 inmates. What is the likelihood of the legislators approving that? If you want to be re-elected, even as a liberal Democrat, you want to be re-elected, what is the likelihood that you're going to release a rapist?
Probably not.
Pretty low. EO was on the 30% reduction budget of the university system. It was on their gravedigger budget. If you hit us with 30%, this is what's going to happen. The likelihood of that 30% ever getting taken is a death knell for legislation.
Are you going to be behind us?
I will
Eastern, we are here. We are very proud. All of Eastern. My family's lived in this side of the state for, I mean, we have settled on both sides of my family in this side of the state. We hold Eastern, Blue Mountain, and Treasure Valley very high. You know, Bob Jensen and Greg Smith, they hold it very high too. That's what I want to know.
Okay.
Are you going to back us?
I will back any of the school systems and any of the university programs as long as they are reducing their expenses and increasing their innovation of the deliver of their product.
What if they can't decrease their expenses?
They can.
But what if you get, I mean, isn't there a point though where they've decreased them as much as they can without sacrificing quality of education?
That's where innovation
certainly there is.
When somebody uses the word "I can't," that immediately tells me they won't.
So you expect, I mean, you can't, if you continue that down to its logical progression, you will be depriving classes of...
Not if you're innovating, you won't. And you're expanding your offering. Let me put it this way. What is the you have a professor that gets paid. And see, Bob and Greg won't ever talk to you guys about this stuff, because this is the nitty-gritty of budgeting.
I don't know, when we went down to the legislature, we spent 2-3 hours in Greg Smith's office.
What is the number one, what is the fastest increasing portion of a professor's payroll?
I really couldn't tell you.
Online?
Healthcare. In Oregon, do any of the unions pay part of their healthcare costs? No. What about farmers and ranchers and the private sector?
We pay them all. We pay our entire health care.
You're boring the whole expense. You want to reduce cost? Get them to pay a portion of their health care. That will significantly lower your budget. You want to reduce cost? Get the public employee unions to pay part of their pension. Right now, we borrow their full pension expense. That's unheard of. So there's costs that need to be, we have to have better negotiators. They struck at BMCC so they could continue to get their health care paid for. Let them strike.
And deprive students of the education that they want and that they are dependent upon BMCC to get.
But when that cost exceeds what we can afford, when do we stop? When do we tell the taxpayers that they can stop paying?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not running for office here.
But that's what I'm asking you. But you're questioning what I believe. I'm asking, when do we tell the taxpayers enough is enough? We've taken enough of your money.
I don't have an answer for you, sir.
I can give you an answer. It's called the Laffer curve. Anybody ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Are you an econ student?
Well, yeah. Taxing at 0% yields zero revenue, and taxing at 100% yields zero revenue.
And then there's a
between.
Are you an econ? Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I am.
Performance of Eastern Oregon education.
We have a Laffer curve. If you have zero tax down here, you have no revenue. If you have 100% tax here, you have no revenue. So you got to figure out on this curve where the taxpayer begins, where your tax rate begins to reduce the amount of revenue that you're bringing in.
Are you saying we should have a 50% tax?
Oh, we're already above that. Oregon, we're at about 53%.
Okay, now the last.
When you take in your property tax, income tax, fuel, add all your tax stuff, we're above 53. We're getting above 53%.
Yeah.
Now Sweden and Norway have both figured out where their Laffer curve is. Their Laffer curve is at 61%. Just type in the word Laffer curve, and you'll get Sweden and Norway. And the challenges there is we're starting to move up to that Laffer curve. So you have to ask yourself, when do we stop asking for money?
What's your answer for that?
My answer is we stop asking now.
Okay, so,
And we start becoming better at spending the money that we're being given.
So do we decrease taxes, or do we just leave it the way it is right now?
Well, I'm a big proponent of decreasing taxes.
Even at the expense of universities and colleges?
I don't think that will happen.
Does the budget then come down to cutting state police funding or cutting prison funding to cutting university funding? Where is your stance?
You're number 3 on my list. Because you know what? When a guy's holding a gun point blank at a female, getting ready to shoot that female, and they can't defend themselves, I need to rely on a state trooper.